body says it is ready and more than capable of delivering on the collective aspiration of the people. Today, Political Update will track the campaign train of Gufui. Compliments of the season to you and welcome. The Center for Transparency Advocacy and Election Observer Group has condemned the alarming rate of attacks on INEC facilities as the 2023 general elections draw near. The group expressed this at a media briefing in Abuja.
Between 8th of October to 9th of November, a total of 52 election-related acts of violence were recorded in 22 states.
The 2023 general election comes up in February and March next year. It is, however, observed by the Center for Transparency Advocacy that there are acts posing imminent dangers to the exercise if left unchecked. The act of assaults on INEC facilities is considered unpatriotic, and the center wonders why some people have constituted themselves to enemies of democracy and peace.
We call on all stakeholders to support INEC towards achieving peaceful, fair, inclusive, and importantly, conclusive elections in 2023.
The social media is observed to becoming a tool of fake news used by unpatriotic elements to distort information and create chaos as the 2023 general elections approach.
We call on Nigerians to stop violence, and we have only one country that we can all call our home.
Inciting and hate speeches must be kept off the airwaves. This, the center emphasized, to include abusive languages of any sort and outbursts with religious or tribal connotations.
Meanwhile, on Information and Voter Education, Festus Sukoye says although the Commission has the capacity to conduct a seamless exercise, in certain attacks are a threat to the process.
The Commission is preparing well for the 2023 general election. We've recorded some reverses in some of the states of the Federation in relation to attacks in some of our facilities, leading to the destruction of ballot boxes, voting cubicles, and permanent voters' cards. We have the capacity to recover from these attacks. Since the 2019 general election up to 2022, we've recorded 50 attacks in 15 states of the Federation. But the ones we recorded in 2022 are the ones that we consider as systematic and coordinated. And these are the ones that are targeted at derailing the preparations of the Commission from conducting free, fair, credible and transparent election. In our Abuja South local government office in Ogun State, we recorded so much losses. We have moved to a new location. In Izi, we are moving to we are moving to a new location. So all these attacks that have taken place, we have the capacity to recover, and we are going to recover because we are already reprinting the permanent voters' cards that were lost during the inferno, and we are also replacing the voting cubicles and ballot boxes that were also lost, and also trying to rent offices for the ones that we cannot repair. But that is it. But if these attacks go into January and February, it may be difficult for us to recover from those attacks. This is because if you look at section 134 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, it has threshold that a candidate must meet before that candidate can be declared as the winner of any election. So we do not want these attacks to continue. We don't want them to persist, but we have the assurance from the various security agencies that they are going to dominate the environment, they are going to neutralize all some of these attacks we are having, and that it will not continue. And that is the assurance we have from them. We need a secure environment, we need a safe environment to conduct the 2023 general election. The Nigerian people want a good election. The Nigerian people want to embrace democracy and have embraced democracy. The Nigerian people want an election that is driven by technology, and we are going to conduct an election driven by technology. The Nigerian people want a winner, a credible winner to be declared for the 2023 general election. We are going to declare only those who the Nigerian people elect as the winners of the election. So we do not want any distraction at this point in time. And that is why we have made it very clear to the National Assembly that all INEC offices shall and must be declared as high priority areas that needs adequate protection and needs adequate safety. The Nigerian people deserve to go into the election with a clear conscience and with a clear mind. We don't want people to delivering on our mandate of organizing, undertaking and supervising election. We are on top of the situation and we are not going to disappoint the Nigerian people.
Now in sports parlance, they would say Nigeria is on the last bend getting to the home straight with the general elections practically in 8 weeks. The stakeholders, the election management body, the political parties, 18 of them, the candidates at the national and state level, done enough to capture the imagination of the citizenry, or they just took the same narrative? What is different this time around? Honorable Sam Onuibe is member representing Ikwano, Umayano from my South Federal constituency. Will be on the ballot as APC's candidate for Abia Central District. He's also a member of the House Committee on Electoral Matters. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
A lot of people have said it's a game-changing year in terms of the robust interventions from the National Assembly in terms of the Electoral Act 2022. You were a part of the process. That was, you were also part of the committee, joint committee, looking at the dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Tell us about the process, and has it changed significantly that space in terms of coming towards election, guiding the processes leading to election day?
Thank you very much indeed, and second people said the season. Yes, to a large extent, I think the Electoral Act 2022 has brought a lot of positive changes, and changes that have indeed raised the hopes of Nigerians. And of course, we have seen it from how the people have gone all out to register, to get their PVCs and to get ready to vote. Why? Because they've seen signs, clear signs, that votes will count. So, the Electoral Act 2022 is, you described it correctly, it's a game changer. And our appeal, and I'm joining to make that appeal to all Nigerians, is to ensure that we're able to make this work so that we can have a credible election that is free and fair, election that is even significantly predictable, in the sense that you know that these are people who are doing well and the people that the people want. Not a situation where election is conducted, at the end of the day you see results change when they're supposed to be declared. So your question, Electoral Act 2022 is going to help us achieve better things, deepen our democratic process, and even refine the whole thing as we go forward. On the issue of what went into the election of enactment of the Act, we started from different chambers, moving bills on what they wanted to see in the amendment of the existing Act. But when we met in Lagos, the joint committees, that is the House and the Senate, under the leadership of His Excellency, the Deputy Senate President, Ovia Ama Agege, we resolved that the previous acts, Electoral Act 2010, 2015 as amended, that they should be repealed, and then we enact a new one. That's why we have this one, Electoral Act 2022, not as amended. So that's what we did. And then there were some things that the national chairman of INEC pointed out in his address. Gray areas that needed to be addressed. One was in Kogi Korodrum, to make sure we have provisions in the Act that avoid the kind of challenge that we had in Kogi when we lost the gubernatorial candidate then. Other ones were to deal with the issues of primary elections, because the INEC chairman pointed out in his speech that in 2019 they had over 809 pre-election letters, and that actually created a strain, drain, and of course was a major distraction. And the resources that go with that, and the fact that there was some kind of uncertainty. So now the primary election, the Electoral Act 2022 has now made it very clear in section 84(1) that different political parties seeking to nominate a candidate for election under this act, such a party shall
hold primaries for aspirants for all elected positions, and that such primaries shall be monitored by INEC. So that way, we are trying to eliminate, or the intent of that is to eliminate the situation where primaries are held, in our remote areas or different constituencies, only for such a thing to be changed, at the headquarters.
That I'm so much tempted to interrupt you and come back, because having been a part of the process, you also felt victim of that, of that cycle, because it was difficult to put a peg on your name, whether you are a candidate or an aspirant at a point in the course of the year. Now we understand, of course, your name has been reprinted as the representative for your the Senate for the APC in your constituency, not concerning senatorial district, not central. Should we get to this level? Shouldn't there be something more that the parties could do at the party level before everything eventually always ends in court and becomes potent?
Well, I think that what we are likely to witness in 2026-2027 is a situation where we don't go through this route, because this was the old order, where people would go to court, this court, that court. But with the provision of this act, it's clear. One, you must hold primaries. Don't sit in your COVID office and start imagining who you are going to substitute and all that. And then two, such a primary shall be monitored by INEC. And I'm happy that the Apex Court has come down, strong on this issue in some of their, judgments recently, to say that it is the INEC, the report of INEC, that helps to evidence that, look, there was a primary election. I am sure that some of the people that went into this act perhaps went into it either deliberately or ignorantly. The reason being that, Mr. President accepted to this bill, I think on the 25th of February, and by March, April, actually we started primaries in the month of May. So there wasn't enough time for some people to study the content and know that it is no longer the old order. So I'm believing that going forward, we'll probably not experience this kind of...
let's just quickly, because time is not very react to what Barrister Okoye spoke about, talking about election governance and all that, and security before, during and after the elections. Being a member of, the Committee on Electoral Matters in the House of Representatives, and a politician yourself, how do you begin to de-incentivize, these criminal elements and violence in elections? Because in the past, it seems as if they had justified the means, but how do we begin to de-incentivize it, especially with elections just 8 weeks away?
That's the closeness of election is some kind of a challenge. But let me tell you what is the solution, or what I believe is the solution. The solution is that as we go forward and it becomes very clear that only those who were elected in a credible, transparent elections are the ones in leadership, and that these people are accountable to those who killed in the sun to elect them. You probably begin to see some changes. But a situation where some people impose themselves on the masses, and having imposed themselves using some crooked means, and they resort to maladministration, embezzlement, and some other acts that are manifestly repugnant to the people, we see some reactions. So I am hopeful that as we get good people get into governance and begin to demonstrate that clearly they have come to provide positive changes, there's no doubt that we see a positive trend getting into, coming around those who are in elections and those who are trying to turn around, because there are people we have to work very hard to put through new orientation.
All right, let's take a little bit of stories from different parts or different parties. Many candidates on the ballot made it a working holiday over the weekend, with NNPP's presidential candidate Rabi Musa Kwankwaso opening his party's office in Jigawa State.
President candidate Rabi Musa Kwankwaso was received by party supporters in Dutse, the capital of Jigawa State, upon his arrival. The visit to the New World was to inaugurate a party office and create a buzz around the party's bid for governance at the center in February. While in Dutse, the presidential candidate paid a courtesy call on the Emir Nur Muhammad Sanusi and intimated him on his mission, promising to turn around the education system for a better if elected.
NNPP has plans for this country, and that is why we have a blueprint that will guide our government if elected.
Emir of Dutse had kind words for the presidential candidate of NNPP. The royal father then prayed for Allah's guidance in the electoral process. At the town hall meeting, Kwankwaso interacted with party members from ward to state levels on the need to have their PVCs before February 2023. The NNPP candidate has inaugurated party offices in different parts of the country, while sharing ideas with the party faithfuls on NNPP's plan for a new Nigeria.
Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi was at the Abuja internally displaced persons IDP's camp over the weekend. He also made a stopover at Government House, Makurdi.
The IDP camp, for you to have chosen to visit the IDPs, not just on an ordinary day, on a Christmas day that you should be celebrating with your family, you are here visiting IDP camps. For me as a Christian, I have nothing to say than to say, God will bless you.
That was the dialogue between the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and Governor Simon Otom before he took off to the IDP's camp at Abuja. The presidential standard-bearer of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, stressed that it is an aberration for such number of persons to be confined away from home at an auspicious time like Christmas.
Keep all your work in work. What you're passing through is what Nigeria is passing through. Because you are a child of God, you are Nigerian. You're Nigerian. So whatever affects you, affects everybody in Nigeria. As long as you remain in IDP camp, Nigeria is in IDP camp.
Some inmates of the camp bore their minds on their plight and the joy over Peter Obi's visit.
The condition in camp is very, very tight. As in, it's not worth living. It's unfortunate that I'm not in my own village. I pray that this Peter Obi that came, I pray that God should help me to govern us so that this situation will calm down.
Executive Secretary, State Emergency Management Agency, Emmanuel Shaw, who disclosed that the Abuja camp has over 10,000 inmates, announced that the presidential standard bearer of the Labour Party gave 3 million naira to them to celebrate Christmas.
The Tinubu Shetima Grassroots Independent Campaign Council donated food items to some orphanages in the FCT to mark the Yuletide season.
It is rare times for the needy, and expectations from the public-spirited individuals are usually high with little or no hope. But this is not to be in the case of 5 orphanages at different locations in the FCT. As one after the other, the Tinubu Shetima Grassroots Independent Campaign Council reaches out to them with food items and other gifts to put smile on their faces.
Happy holidays.
To the campaign council, the outreach program to the orphanages is not meant to influence vote, but in a good.
Meanwhile, more social cultural groups have given to the district.
In the countdown to next year's general elections, the All Progressives Congress support groups in Yobe State have scaled up mobilization campaigns for the party's presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu and running mate Kashim Shettima. One of such is a grand rally by the South Hausa Fulani socio-cultural group, who are also rooting for another time for Governor Malabuni in the governorship race. The acting president of the Hausa Fulani Forum, Ibrahim Dushe, and national president of NTA Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Baba Usman Gazerma, assured of the members and fleeting support to the new leadership of NTA Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria to chart a roadmap to bring to an end farmers' hardest conflict in the country. The House of Fulani Forum, since coming into existence in 2017,
that concludes the stories over the holidays. Let's bring in Honorable Noble, maybe before we let you go. In just a few weeks now, we're counting down weeks now, very soon to the days to the general election. You are also on the ballot. Any palpitations? And looks at it, some of those like some of the footballers when they were going to the World Cup.
Oh, we are very, very hopeful. Like I said earlier, about what we are going to win electoral at 2022. And the people haven't seen democracy practice from nearly a quarter of a century. It's a case of people knowing those they want to vote for, the antecedents. It's not going to be a case of, everyone being carried along and all that. So I'm very, very hopeful because by His grace, I have on the acronym of EAR, effectiveness, accessibility, and responsiveness.
Did you borrow from some of your colleagues? They brought them Christmas cards over the holidays. They said they prefer the voters card. Yeah. That was really program for today. Back on Friday for another special program. Africa's largest and finest for news reviews, previews, and interviews. Also, it's been a wonderful year so far. We wish you the very best of the year ahead. My name is Usal. Thanking you for staying tuned. All the best. Enjoy the rest of your week.